Jimmy Lai's imprisonment in Hong Kong is a stark illustration of the ongoing erosion of judicial independence and the rule of law in Hong Kong since its handover to China in 1997. Lai, who was a prominent pro-democracy figure and a media tycoon, has been a thorn in the side of the Chinese Communist Party for years, particularly because of his ownership of the now defunct Apple Daily, a newspaper that consistently advocated for democratic principles and criticised Beijing's encroachments on Hong Kong's autonomy. But the involvement of two British judges in Hong Kong's legal system, initially intended to preserve the rule of law and provide a buffer against potential abuses of power, has come under intense scrutiny. And Lord Neuberger's recent decision to uphold Lai's conviction is emblematic of the complex and contentious role that these judges now play. On the one hand, their presence was meant to reassure the international community and maintain confidence in Hong Kong's legal system. But on the other, their participation in cases like this one has led to accusations that they are inadvertently legitimizing what may be perceived as politically motivated persecution. Chris Patten, the last British governor of Hong Kong, has been an outspoken critic of the Chinese government's actions in the territory, and his condemnation of Lord Neuberger's ruling as an act of vengeance reflects a widely held belief that the charges against Lai are not just legal in nature but are deeply political. The imposition of Beijing's national security law in 2020 marked a significant shift in the legal landscape of Hong Kong, effectively criminalizing dissent and curtailing freedoms that had been guaranteed under the One Country, Two Systems freedom network. The national security law had been used to prosecute a wide variety of pro-democracy activists, and it continues to be used in that way. And many, like Lai himself, participated in the 2019 protests that saw millions of Hong Kongers take to the streets. These protests were a response to a proposed extradition bill that would have allowed individuals to be sent to the mainland in China for trial, sparking fears that the city's legal system could be subsumed under a far less transparent and far less fair judicial system that was existing in Hong Kong rather than on the mainland. Lord Neuberger's decision to distance his ruling from the British Supreme Court's principles on human rights challenges highlights a troubling divergence between Hong Kong's legal practices and those in more established democracies. By refusing to apply the doctrine of operational proportionality, a key safeguard against disproportionate state actions, Neuberger has drawn criticism not just from Patten, but from across the spectrum of international human rights observers. And his stance, ostensibly in defence of the rule of law within the context of Hong Kong's legal framework, is seen by many as a misjudgment, one that lends credibility to a system increasingly viewed as compromised. Sebastian Lai's plea for his father's release underscores the human cost of those legal and political manoeuvres. Jimmy Lai's age, over 70, coupled with the harsh conditions of his solitary confinement. Why are these people being kept in solitary confinement like Julian Assange? Raises serious concerns about his health and well-being. The UK government's response to this case is a litmus test to its commitment to human rights and its ability to exert meaningful influence on the international stage, particularly in relation to China. The case also reflects a broader pattern of transnational repression, as noted by Simon Cheng, a pro-democracy campaigner who has fled to the UK. The CCP's reach extends far beyond its borders, as we saw, for example, with the story of the man playing the piano in St Pancras Station, targeting dissidents and activists globally. This strategy of lawfare, using legal mechanisms to suppress dissent, threatens not just individuals like Jimmy Lai, but the very fabric of democratic societies worldwide. The involvement of British judges in Hong Kong's judiciary was initially seen as a bulwark against authoritarianism. However, as the case of Jimmy Lai demonstrates, their continued participation under the current circumstances risks lending unwarranted legitimacy to a legal system that is increasingly seen as weaponized by Beijing against its critics. The UK and indeed the broader international community should grapple with how to respond to these developments in a way that upholds the principles of justice, human rights, the rule of law, and brings China into the orb of our global community fully, while also acknowledging the complex realities of the Sino-British relationship that persists in our post-colonial world.